So it's the end of October, and I apologize for not taking videos along the way, but I took most of the summer off and then came back and started working on things again. So the forward section of the hull, I finished putting the side on like I did here. Same thing I did with the aft section if you saw that video. And as you can see now, the big difference is that the front and the back ends are both attached to each other. So there are reinforcing plywood pieces behind this, and then fiberglass over it. Same thing here in this keel section, reinforcing plywood pieces on the inside behind this to attach the two pieces together. Then biaxial fiberglass over it, and then unidirectional fiberglass over the top of that, and then some fairing stuff, filling it in. Didn't spend a huge amount of time, super fairing it super smooth or anything like that. So I think it's silly to get carried away with that kind of stuff, but it's reasonably good. And then while I had it upside down, I decided to might as well paint the bottom, and I decided to put Coppercoat on it. So that's what this is here. So the whole keel is done with Coppercoat, and the forward half of the hull from here up, minus these edges here that I was still working on, that's all been done with Coppercoat. And the reason why I did those bits when I did was because I had a nice stretch of nice warm weather here in Connecticut, and it seemed like the opportune moment to do that, because once I stuck these two things together, then part of the boat's got to stick out the front of the garage. So I decided that was well, if I had 65 to 70 degree weather, that was the time to do this. And the Coppercoat, if you don't know this, basically you have to put all the coats on. There's supposed to be at least 4 of them. We're supposed to put 4 coats on, and it all has to happen within the same day. So it started at about 9:30 in the morning and finished about 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then covered things up again. I had a step ladder out front, and then these pieces of wood holding the tarp up off the top to basically keep the dew off it, and heaters running to try to dry it as quickly as possible. So it's all set. That was a week or so ago. So the Coppercoat's on it, and then this will all have to get burnished. So the top part of this just gets slightly sanded off with some 320 grit sandpaper, or I've actually got some little Scotch-Brite pad things there that are 320 grit that'll go on the sander, and that'll make it easier to go over any unfair surfaces of the hull without blowing through it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. So what I need to do now is finish this. I put 1 coat of Coppercoat on this part back here, and I'm going to have to sand that back down with 80 grit according to the instructions, and put the other the other coats on top of that. So I'll end up putting 4 coats back on top of this part. And what happened was 2 things. One, I was running out of time, and then because I was just doing all this by myself, and I also had realized that when I got to this part that I was going to be short on the amount of Coppercoat I needed. So I basically just paused it there at that spot. And this is all the part that's inside the garage, so I can basically do this anytime. So I've got more Coppercoat on order. It'll be here tomorrow, and I can finish doing this. The other thing I'm working on while it's upside down is I've ordered a bunch of lumber, which should arrive this morning, to make a cradle. So I'll be building the cradle to fit this hull while it's upside down. Basically some plywood, some 4x4s and stuff. You'll see that in a future video. But the idea is to then, this is all on a couple of big dollies. I'll roll it outside, flip it over on the grass, get a bunch of people to help me. We'll flip it over and then pick it up and put it on top of the Cradle and bring it back into the garage. And at that point, then I'll be putting like one of those carport cover extension things on the front of the garage door. I haven't bothered with that now because that'll just be in the way of bringing the boat in and out and rotating it over. So I don't want it there yet. And I've just got some tarps just screwed to the top and the framing of the garage just to give me some protection from the rain and keep it somewhat warm in here. But the nice thing about putting the copper coat on all this here now is that I don't have to like crawl underneath the boat and do all that stuff later. It's way easier to do that while the boat's upside down. So yeah, and I didn't do this part here because I hadn't yet glassed this in. But this will be easy enough to do even when the boat's right side up. I'll be sanding this down though. I think I'll be able to basically sand this down, smooth this stuff out, fare this in a little bit, and then I should be able to get that while I'm doing this part here, and then everything will be copper coated. And if I'm careful when we flip it over onto some padding and there's no big rocks in the lawn or anything like that, theoretically this will be, the copper coat will be in good shape. And set it on the cradle. I've got some carpet that I'll be putting on top of the cradle to cushion it. And yeah, and then hopefully the cradle works out nicely for transporting it later on. So that's where I'm at. Hopefully that was helpful. It's pretty exciting to have the two pieces together. It's also much more difficult now because the thing is much heavier. It's all one piece. It's 32 feet long, and I can't actually rotate it, in case somebody was wondering, like, because before I would rotate it over inside the garage here, but my problem is this is just shy of 7 feet across in the middle of the boat here, and the height in the garage opening from here to here is 6.5 feet. So there's no room to actually flip this over inside, so it might as well go. I was going to make some gantries and do this outside in the driveway, and I think it just makes more sense just to get a whole bunch of people over and do a boat rolling thing and then pick it up and put it on. So I can lift this, lift up one end or the other a little bit. It's certainly really heavy, but I think with 8 people or something like that, it should be relatively simple and easy enough to do. So hopefully that works out.